Video is intended to describe a lightblade wand named Loveshine. Joining me today will be my whimsical stick figure chakra map, which of course I drafted from my pocket notepad for this dissertation to be very comprehensive in various chakra stimulation of the crystalline configuration seen in this closed loop apparatus, also known as a lightblade wand. The prudent aspect to discuss as well is the figure 8 scaffolding seen like so, vaguely resembling a figure 8 to be the perpetual energetic recirculation of the entire closed-loop circuit momentum. Starting off with the transmutation ratio seen right here laterally, consisting of hematite and smoky quartz like so, offset all the way around this lateral band, as well as a band concealed by this lovely red leather going all the way to here, to this lateral band seen right here. Then, of course, underneath this side as well is a band that looks just like this, going all the way up here, make its own closed-loop quadrant, as well as the main engine band, if you would be seen right here, once again, of the hematite and smoky quartz offset all the way like so. So, essentially, the transmutation ratio is the entire scaffolding of this entire quadrant for a very distinct purpose, starting now. The aspect of the archetypal designation of transmutation is very much intrinsic in the crystalline composition, starting off with hematite seen right here, which is a very nice iron-based mineral, which is very effective for grounding all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars, into earth flow reprocessing. By essentially taking all stray radial frequencies and make a strong ground, makes for a very powerful way to ground energy, in tandem with smoky quartz providing the same energetic stimuli to once again, just like hematite, ground all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth and into the earth for reprocessing. Hence, the two together have been dubbed the transmutation ratio to be very encouraging of transmutation of energy by highly discharging all excess energy through the earth stars into the earth for rapid reprocessing, thereby conferring a realm of etheric dialysis at a very constant rate by itself, which is very, very discouraging for stored negativity to maintain the auric field with that much rapid dispersal reprocessing inherently in the transmutation ratio scaffolding seen right here. And the aspect is quite critical too for a very dynamic high yield variant of a lightblade wand. It also plays the quite contingent role to quite simply make the magic real by providing a very strong scaffolding for this entire quadrant to ground the energy into the earth. Is the aspect, of course, of bringing tangibility to the entire high vibratory intended vibration engineering design of this entire construct. So the primary blade band that gets the designation of Loveshine would be a concentration of the rose quartz seen right here. Starting off, grounded into the transmutation scaffolding is 8 specimens of clear quartz seen right here to work as a neutral accelerant of the energy going into rutilated quartz seen right here. Rutilated quartz is actually clear quartz with rutile inside of it, which basically works to supercharge other frequencies in a signature output of a crystal ignition sequence. So quartz by itself is a natural neutral ambient accelerant of other frequency impulses run through it, such as intentions and other frequencies for that matter. Then the aspect of rutile, which is a titanium dioxide derivative, works to make a massive acceleration of quartz into other frequencies, such as rose quartz seen right here, which is a very famous high heart divine love resonant frequency alignment, hence the love is in the name. Then from the rose quartz seen right here goes into golden healer quartz, which is a quintessential high heart gold white light source attunement frequency, which is very evidently advantageous in a closed loop vibratory crystalline ignition sequence. So the aspect right there that highlights this ignition sequence of once again the rutilated quartz, the rose quartz, the golden healer quartz, rose quartz, and so on until it goes back into the clear quartz seen right here, grounded to the transmutation scaffolding, works as a massive, heavy, divine love source concentration emanation as the primary blade band. Hence the proper designation of Loveshine is very fitting and appropriate. So that would be the entirety of the primary blade band scaffolding of figure 8 discussed thus far that makes for the closed loop reactive circuit containment field of this recirculation of this energy. Next we'll be discussing the various lateral bands seen right here as auxiliary energy ports of basically the energy coursing through before it completes its sequence on a lateral sense. Starting off with the abundance ratio Starting off with rutilated quartz, once again to make a massive accelerant into moss green agate, which is the most stable green ray heart chakra terrestrial stimulant in the mineral kingdom, which is very indicative for, of course, stabilizing the abundance frequency wavelength. Going into golden healer quartz, once again, the gold white light high heart divine source alignment. Then going into peridot to be a fantastic third and fourth chakra stimulant of earth elemental correspondence, as well as essentially the frequency of chlorophyll, how all this happens, which is very positive and very, of course, encouraging towards abundance. Then once again, the rutilated quartz into the classic famous emerald, the quintessential green ray heart chakra terrestrial stimulant mineral kingdom of legendary abundance for millennia. So the three together of the moss green agate works to stabilize the exaggeration of the heart chakra capacity of abundance in a closed loop sequence with the subcapacitation of rutilated quartz to intensify the output, as well as bring source octave alignment through the entire lateral band seen right here, grounded into the primary blade band to make a lateral energy configuration. Then down here by the main engine of the construct would also be two various specialty lateral bands seen right here. Starting off with a very strong lower three chakra stimulant band right here, with red jasper to be the quintessential stabilization of the root chakra in the mineral kingdom of earth elemental correspondence. And to subcapacitate this frequency signature will be that of tourmalated quartz, which is clear quartz with black tourmaline naturally in the structure. Clear quartz, like I mentioned previously, has a massive accelerant of other frequencies to intensify whatever sequence is running through. But the advantageous aspect of tourmaline in the structure also makes for a natural amplification of black tourmaline, which is a very famous black ray crystal of transmutation quite in vogue in this timeline, to once again encourage rapid dispersal in the earth for reprocessing to mitigate stagnant energies from maintaining in the field as quick as possible, which is very appropriate for the lower three intended goal of this particular lateral band. Then going from the tourmalated quartz from the red jasper into sunstone. Sunstone's an absolutely fantastic sacrum and solar plexus stimulant of fire, very sunny in disposition, hence its name, and very encouraging, very beneficent, very positive, and very much a stone of confidence. So it's a fantastic sacrum stimulant. Then there is tourmalated quartz going into tiger's eye, which is a very fantastic lower three chakra alignment of the solar plexus, the sacrum, and the root chakra, in a very particular alignment of fortification of aligning these lower three chakras. So of course this is a very concentrated lower three chakra stimulation, which is very, very advantageous. Basically, of course, putting the concept of divine love in action is represented in this particular ignition sequence. Then right here, to be a perfect counterbalance to that very lower three chakra in the body experience design right here, would be a more transcendent radial, ethereal, if you would, blue and pink ray combination. Seen with clear quartz to be an absolute clean, neutral accelerant of frequencies going into kunzite. Kunzite is a very fantastic pink ray, high heart, high lithium-based crystal of extreme soothing divine love, which makes for a very, very soothing emanation. Then going into clear quartz into the famous turquoise, quite the amazing, prolific, and legendary crystal of antiquity, and of course, great reverence today. Turquoise is a very fantastic fifth chakra stimulant that embodies the aspects of earth, fire, water, and wind in a fifth chakra focus for whole, of course, clarity of alignment of one sovereign truth. So the aspect of turquoise also makes for a very nice pranic stimulant from top to bottom, which is also very advantageous for unified truth alignment. Then going into clear quartz right here into Larimar. Larimar is a very fantastic blue ray crystal now in this timeline of lovely, soothing fifth and sixth chakra stimulation of extreme, calm, oceanic disposition, which is very, once again, advantageous for maintaining one's soothing natural configuration in their quantum inheritance and alignment. So that indeed would be all the lateral bands discussed thus far, besides the thumb engagement, which will eventually be gotten to. Now I'll be discussing the primary section where the engine can technically be considered in this device. Before I do that though, after this video is fully done, I will of course enclose it with this hood seen much like so, for a very distinct purpose far more aesthetic, which I will describe right now. So the aspect of white leather right here works to also serve as an insulation for all these various energies in the main engine section right here. So it basically works to bring more consolidated focus, so it does not leak the energy laterally like so. So the energy is being more directed focus through the primary blade bands, so the energy laterally is being mitigated from leakages, so the current is more efficient through the entire closed loop apparatus, which is a very important preface. As well as a way to protect all these subtle stones that would be considered the main heart or engine of the construct, as well as white makes for a very nice diffused 7-ray alignment, which is a very appropriate full spectrum engagement, as well as, I guess 4. It would, of course, be a little bit of a aesthetic completion, but I want to reiterate that it is far more than aesthetic, but indeed a very critical component for light blade efficiency. Then affixed to that, once this is all notarized, shall be the Eye of Horus, seen right here, which is very dear to the recipient's lineage, to put it lightly. And that would be the aspect of the hood described right there. Next, I shall discuss the intricacies of the main heart of the crystal of the engine, of this lightblade wand. Starting off with the main absolute heart of Celestial Smoky Quartz, which is much like Smoky Quartz, a very fantastic ground of energy, but the aspect of Celestial has a very metaphysically far out intrinsic critical nature for these devices, because the growth structure of Celestial also works as a perfect auto-calibration resonance adaptogen to whatever auric field is engaging it. I should actually write out the palm chakras for this too. I just drafted this right before this video, of course, hence I've relocated the locations, and yeah, this is anyhow, pardon my digression. So the aspect of Celestial Quartz right there, which I will go ahead and close this up so I don't stain anything, has the growth structure, like I mentioned, of working as an adaptogen to take the entire crystalline pitch of its closed-loop reactive circuit and work to auto-calibrate the entire frequency pitch to a comfortable resonance with whoever is wielding it. It's quite the mouthful conceptually to try and discuss in one linear shot, and that's quite the critical aspect too of basically also working like a surge protector and a dimmer switch to ensure the frequency pitch of the entire range is in a comfortable optimum at a very quantum reactive status. I think that's enough for now on the very far out aspect of Christianese for that part, which is my little joke for the jargon I speak at times. So that'd be the main heart, the Celestial Smoke Quartz, to basically be a way to keep the frequency pitch in perfect resonance alignment with the recipient and recipient's jurisdiction, yada yada yada. Back to cataloging. On the other side of the wooden core seen down here, that would be the main engine, would also be a large specimen of Libyan gold tektite, which is a very special gold ray crystal of antiquity utilized by the pharaohs of Egypt. It is a very powerful solar plexus and sacrum stimulant, which I fondly refer to as goldavite, based on its being a cousin, vibrationally speaking, to a very famous crystal named moldavite, which will be addressed later, as a tremendous dharmic accelerant. So with that intensive fire energy, of course, the solar plexus and sacrum makes for a very powerful golden ray of illumination to the entire auric field at a very high premium of that of dharmic manifestation, being expedited into manifestation, which is quite exceptional. So a large dose right here goes a long way to be very powerful encouragement, sovereign energy alignment, particularly in light of the heavy concentration of the pink ray intended device of divine love. Then right here would be star aragonite, which is a very special crystal of very utilitarian healing capacity of a calcium-based full light bison from top to bottom that works very powerfully to dismantle any patterns of stagnancies through the entire chakra column from top to bottom, which makes it a quintessential master healer to be employed in a closed loop circuit. Then down here would be a very special fire energy element of zincite. Zincite is perhaps the most powerful explosive lower 3 chakra stimulants in the mineral kingdom to dramatically, intensively burn through stagnant energies impeding one soul of lower 3 chakras at very much hurricane force, which I utilize sparingly, very intentionally, based on its inherent and volatile nature, but with the aspect of a moving and shaking of like very much limitations, like that be basically blocking one's dharmic acceleration trajectory, with the love being the common denominator. It was very appropriate to apply here for very powerful tour de force activation lower 3 chakras, to burn through any limitations for that matter. Then over here will be a routine which I'm going to discuss in one shot, hence they have a critical play off each other. Underneath this lateral band, already mentioned, was red jasper and a larger specimen down here, which of course works as the most stabilizing red ray earth chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom, which is quite integral for this next sequence. So the aspect here, it works to stabilize the root chakra, then goes into fire agate to stabilize the fire elemental spectrums of solar plexus, sacrum, and root chakra. Then goes into moss green agate, which is the most stabilizing heart chakra stimulant, like mentioned in the abundance ratio. Then up here would be blue lace agate, which is a water elemental stabilization of the fifth chakra. Then goes into holly blue agate, seen over here, which is a very rare violet ray wind elemental agate of the most stabilizing 6th, 7th chakra stimulation. So the aspect of combining the aspects of the 4 terrestrial elements of earth, fire, water, and wind, the most stable varieties in this entire subroutine, is very much encouraging stabilizing the perfect 4 elemental spectrum balance by design. Then over here would be fulgurite, which is actually petrified lightning. That is literally lightning striking sand, carrying a very powerful lightning energy in a crystalline silica format to be ground into the primary wire, which is literally the power of lightning, which is a very powerful full light body activator from top to bottom as well, and also was a spirit tool of antiquity by shamans to use to intensify their output of intentional magic through resonance of lightning force to disperse the energy back to creator, which is a very, very, very cool fact for manifestation acceleration of lightning force. Then a very similar concept would be this of black tektite, which is a product of meteorite impacting sand, which is technically a black ray crystal of celestial origin. The aspect of the very powerful cosmic jolt in creation has a very nice fortification of the lower chakras of the earth stars all the way up, raising vibrations from, thank goodness, a very grounded scaffolding sense, which makes for a very, very viable way to tangibly raise vibrations from the ground up to fortify the auric field scaffolding to a very high configuration premium is the idea there. And so that's quite simply an absolute essential for all light tech, no matter what designation platform, for its tangible foundational raising of vibrations in a very thorough way. Then right here would be naturalite, which is a very rare, almost criminally underrated or unknown white ray crystal of sheer potency divinity. Naturalite is, among my opinion, as a pretty obvious crystalline enthusiast, among the top 3 third eye crown chakra activators in the mineral kingdom, which has a very potent divine white light intensification stimulation, which of course puts the field in a very high psychic alignment disposition. And so naturally, that brings the entire threshold of the entire device to a very high premium as well. And so I should probably reiterate this during this dissertation, is that, of course, all these other loose frequencies mentioned so far, somehow, some way, have been wire wrapped into the primary wire, grounded into the main vein of the construct, which works to carry the current of the entirety of the organs of this entity, if you would, in a very thorough vibrational compound interest closed loop circuit reactive manner. And so the aspect right there, too, of course, of each of these individual organs are indeed generating significant vibrational compound interest for its auric template, much like organs and of our human entities as well. So, that'd be the entire engine section, the hood already discussed. Now I'll be moving on to the blade facing up here. So, like mentioned, the transmutation ratio is now concealed by this leather, but it does indeed go up here for a distinct purpose to work to, of course, keep the energy streamlined, grounded, and tangibilized for this entire output. So next I'll be discussing the thumb engagement, to which I usually have a prop in space to be able to post it up for dissertation. This rock will certainly do. So this, of course, like inherently implied, is designed for the thumb to engage like so, by design. And it's its own quite complex subroutine. So the entire blade band ratio surrounding this thumb engagement would be that of the coherence ratio. Starting off with clear course to work as a nice neutral clean accelerant of the sequence seen right here, going to lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli, of course, is a favorite of millions for thousands of years based on its prolific psychic activation utilization. With a very concentrated, wonderful lapis blue Wind elemental, 5th and 6th chakra stimulation is that of a very powerful sovereign dharmic alignment of one's highest siddhis or gifts into the conscious self integration, which is very, very nice for, of course, maintaining coherence of one's dharmic alignment truth. Then going to clear quartz to neutrally accelerate into purple fluorite, seen right here. Fluorite is a very fantastic mitigator of chaotic vibrations into cohesive, coherent perception as well, particularly when it comes to the aspects of the third eye's concern with the right and left hemispheres to mitigate cross-interference. That would be, of course, inherent to the human condition of imprintation, and would work very well to mitigate any crossfires, so whole brain thinking is easier to align to, which aka would be the awakened third eye, which is very, very important for the aspect of the objective of maintaining coherent alignment fields. So that'd be the sequence of coherence around here. So the very core of this entire thumb engagement, that of just a clear quartz to be a neutral accelerant of the other frequencies affixed to it, such as this ruby. Ruby is a very fantastic, very famous root chakra stimulant of antiquity of great notarization, and is quite the powerful zest for life gusto energy, which is very, of course, indicative of the red leather being very much a love in action for practical ramification. And affixed to that ruby would also be that of white diamond. An authentic white diamond specimen goes a very long way in a closed-loop circuit of 10 out of 10 carbon-based hardness, which is a very powerful full light body fortification as well, and of course is quite the legendary crystal that all mortals have heard of because it's quite precious, and it makes for a very powerful sovereign alignment as well for the entire strengthening of the field based on its 10 out of 10 carbon-based compatibility with our carbon-based physical avatars, at least for now. Then the two main crystals affixed here would be that of tanzanite. Tanzanite is a lovely blue-ray wind elemental crystal of impeccable heart-mind coherence of a stimulation of the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, the soul star, for impeccable heart-mind coherence and divine guidance, which of course in the spiritual adept path I consider to be absolutely quintessential towards one's dharmic sovereign, divine, aligned mastery, with the heart-mind coherence being very fortified, which is a very powerful answer in crystalline format seen right here. And next to that would be the very famous legendary moldavite, a green ray crystal of great legend these days, of great prolific metaphysical praise for being the quintessential dharmic accelerant of a storm elemental heart chakra alignment to source with nearly hurricane force of very dramatic cosmic swift kick in the pants towards one's dharmic appointed life. Hence it has quite the notorious reputation for dramatically aligning one's life by being very taxing on the false self matrix that's being perpetuated that's not quite the highest dharmic quantum inheritance alignment. But the aspect too, of course, I use that very sparingly, and also the big idea too in engineering wise is that with the transmutation ratio, the stabilizations, and the love frequencies to, of course, mitigate the timeline whiplash inherent in moldavite's raw dharmic reconfiguration power was a big idea too. But either way, that is a quintessential dharmic accelerant to keep one's alignment of their divine appointed path and the forefront of their manifestation of reality. Anyhow, that's enough digression. Back to cataloging. So this next section will be discussing the blade facing seen right here. So right here is a very special golden ray specimen of Himalayan golden azeztulite, which just like golden healer quartz is a very lovely, impeccable, high heart gold white light source attunement to basically have the same stimulation with the golden healer quartz and the golden azeztulite work once again in vibrational compound interest to make a strong resonant alignment with gold white light source emanation, which of course puts the source in sorcery, which is pretty inherently important in this endeavor. Then next would be a lovely love currency, seen right here affixed on both sides, so both sides of the coin are represented, which has been commissioned into existence by the lovely Wizard of Sedona, Mr. Stephen A. Ross, who is a dear colleague of mine. And so right here, on one side of the coin, it says, with love, in love, and through love, to be the archetypal designated message. On the other side of the coin, it says, to maintain that, of course, would be a beautiful heart, an open mind, and a humble spirit. So that's aspect two that's quite special, is the heavy incorporation, augmentation of this coin with distributions literally across the world and quite the prolific dissemination, have built their own little modern magical sigil of intentional love magic, basically, which has been a lot of fun as a nice little side project of my life's work. Anyway, enough digressing about the love currency. That's why it's there, though. Then right here, be larger specimens of blue lace agate, like mentioned previously during the agate section. So the aspect of blue lace agate is quite critically placed right here to be the quintessential stabilization of water elemental 5th chakra alignment. So having the aspect of this much raw love truth, then of course to embody it at the conscious self level of the aspect of one's highest truth, it was why this was so critically placed right here to do the most stable version possible to maintain that embodiment is the intended design right there. Then at the very apex of the core would be another special specimen of Tibetan black quartz. Tibetan black quartz is from Tibet, a region of the world with virtually unrivaled, unbroken spiritual discipline of Om source resonance. And Tibetan black quartz has a very special effect of being a full light bison from top to bottom, and essentially being a toroidal field stimulant, impeccably so, with the lower chakras being highly widened and fortified of earth star capacity to, of course, ground into the earth, as well as the stellar gateways of the higher chakras above, being a very powerful fortification, of course, and naturally with those 2 points, naturally Earth Star and Soul Star highly stimulated, works to very much dismantle patterns of dis-ease stored in the chakra calm, manifesting as a vibrational misfire in the chakra calm to get very technical and mechanical. And so that's the aspect too that makes it quite the critical placement at the very apex of this core right here. And so now, speaking of the core, so this wood range from both the subcore and the primary core is that of white oak from Sedona, Arizona, and a tree much like this up the creek, actually up the river where this is being filmed. So the aspect of oak by itself makes for a very legendary carbon-based wood to serve as the base core platform of this device. And also, oak's a very dense atomical structure with its own great amount of lore, which I will omit to consolidate this video as much as possible, which is not as easy as it appears. There's much to digress upon, obviously. It takes a great amount of discipline to maintain focus. And so the aspect, too, is that with the dense grain of oak also makes for a very dense atomical transfer of the silica radius built around it. Hence the aspect also of the oak being carbon-based, like carbon-based avatar, at least for now. It also makes for a very effective transference of the silica vibratory emanation built around it to make the carbon-based transference to further make the magic real. Be quite simple and pragmatic in the concept. Then, next to the wooden core, affixed to that would be selenite, seen right here. Selenite is a very special crystal which I oftentimes save for last intentionally in these dissertations for this critical feature. So selenite by itself is a very fantastic 6, 7, 8 non-physical chakra stimulant back to one's godhead of all the higher chakras, which works very diligently to be a way to mitigate and disperse electromagnetic interference between the conscious self and the higher self, which is already quite the amazing merit. And with that high-frequency divine induction also works to burn off stagnancies from top to bottom, or feel that are not of one's divine alignment, which makes it quite the master healer in its own right. But where it always shines in each of these constructs is this critical feature. So in this nearly half hour of discussing all the crystals in one closed-loop sequence seen right here and all the intricacies, so the aspect too of taking all of these crystals mentioned thus far, it works to purify all of these crystals in a closed loop sequence. It works also to amplify or intensify the entire sequence, but perhaps most importantly, as always, it brings equilibrium and harmonization to the entire crystalline pitch, which is its truly important merit for spiritual application efficiency, as far as I'm concerned. So that aspect right there, I'll repeat that concept, is it works to purify all these crystals, amplify and harmonize this entire crystalline entity before us for this dissertation. Then, affixed to the selenites themselves will be the 4 spectrums of kyanite available to me. So this aspect too, I'll be employing whimsically fast penmanship to do my best to illustrate the quantum connection capacity kyanite offers in this construct, with black kyanite being the absolute most rapid transfer of energy into the earth, absolute quick as possible, which also serves like a surge protector in its own right, and most importantly too, works to ground rapidly at the speed of quantum light, that is, into the earth the manifestation tangibility of the vibratory output. Then right here be orange kyanite, which is very very, very vibrant, fast sacrum stimulant of very high capacity to bridge past any blockages of limitations of creativity, very particularly. Then the aspect of green kyanite also makes for a very powerful heart chakra green ray rapid stimulant transference as well to once again, of course, bridge past any limitations of the heart via onset imprintation false matrices. Anyhow, pardon my own digressions here. Then blue kyanite is the most rapid third eye stimulant of the aspect of the right and left hemispheres commingling to mitigate cross interference, aka promote the third eye capacity, as well as it makes for a critical role of actually taking the entire crystalline capacity and making much easier quantum transferences of energy broadcasts, such as intentions, made manifest to make quantum entanglement broadcasting, aka healing vibrations, sent along. I must sometimes please my own self for my Christianese. Then back here, to further assist the exact concept I was doing my best to illustrate, would be that of the focalizer crystals. So the backside of the focalizers would be that of titanium aura quartz, which is a modern alchemical man-made product of pressure coating titanium on a clear quartz structure, bonding it. So the aspect of titanium on quartz also makes for a massive intensification, strengthening of the entire rainbow light body as well. So with that strong shear strengthening also fortifies further the auric field's integrity to its ideal configuration, which is very strengthening for the neutral amplification of clear quartz seen right here to be the absolute business end focalizers of this device to encourage the entire figure eight scaffolding to sharpen and focus the broadcast of intentional focus. Well, I guess actually that would be this Love Shine 1 completely discussed with the catalog completed. So the big aspect as a summary too, of course, it's quite the dynamic, heavy concentration of divine love is the prerogative of the focus of this device, with many intrinsic supportive elements throughout this entire crystalline composition that play a critical role to, quite simply, fortify the entire chakra column light body to its ideal configuration and a relatively, for its power to weight ratio, clandestine device of about 10.5 inches from tip to tip as a light blade wand for a practitioner. Okay, well, 1,000 blessings and may the force be with us.